I've finally done it. It's taken 2 months, but I've managed to get a hold of an Xbox Series S without going on eBay and buying one from a scalper. Result? Stay tuned for the unboxing and the first impressions. I think at this point, if you're into tech and you're not aware of the supply issues that have surrounded the Xbox and the PlayStations, well then frankly you've been living under a rock. It's taken me 2 months to get a hold of one of these, and quite a few hours swiping on my phone, so with a bit of luck it'll be worth it. I'll open her up, have a look at the console, see what it's like, see what it comes with, and then we'll get on to some gameplay, because let's be honest, that's what you all want to see. I didn't buy a bundle, so in the box I've just got the basics. I've got the console itself, which is remarkably small and light for what it is. It comes with a single controller. Fortunately, it is backwards compatible with your Xbox One controllers as well, if you did have those. And it comes with a couple of basic cables, so power cable and HDMI cable. It also comes with some product and regulatory guide, so after you've read that, I think what I'll do is just get rid of that so you can actually get to playing with the thing. In terms of size and weight, this thing's very small. As you can see, I'm just kind of hefting it around. I've got absolutely no muscles on me at all, so it must be light. In terms of size, you can see for scale, my hand against it, this device is very small, very compact, which is exactly what Xbox tried to do. You know, they've advertised it as one of the kind of smallest and most powerful devices that they've ever produced, which obviously is true. There's only one colour option. It comes in white and black. Fortunately, it looks quite good for it. On the back of the device, very small range of ports, but it's all you need. You've got your LAN, you've got your Ethernet connection, you've got a couple of USB ports, you've got your HDMI output, you've got your proprietary expansion slot provided by Xbox. Obviously this doesn't come with the expansion card, but optionally you can buy the 1 terabyte expansion card in case you did need that extra space for games. And then of course the power port. On the front, again, very straightforward. You've got small button and you've got a USB output or input, whatever you want to call it, a bit of both. The actual box itself has vents at both ends, provided sort of ample airflow for the device. And when we play it, we'll actually be able to see how noisy the device gets. But you know, from Xbox history, I think what we'll find is this thing will be quiet, virtually silent. Okay, so in terms of overall footprint, just so you can get a scale, this PC is a small form factor mini ITX build that I built in one of my previous videos, so go and check that out if you want to, if you're interested. For scale to that, there's a standard PS4 Slim, so I can put that comfortably within the bounds of this case. And the Xbox is smaller again, so I'll put this at the top of the pile. You can see here, in terms of scale, this thing, you can nearly fit 2 Xboxes into the size of the old PS4 Slim. Just before lockdown, I'd started setting up a sort of mini cinema setup. Now, as we went into lockdown, it just became a bit of a forgotten project, unfortunately. But what it does mean is I've got a large 75-inch 4K screen to test footage on. Now, the Xbox Series S itself, which I'll just grab from over here, is targeted at the 1440p gamer, whereas the Xbox Series X was targeted at the 4K. So whilst I'm not expecting, you know, to completely use the capability of this monitor, I'm expecting reasonably good footage. Now, as a direct comparison, I don't have an Xbox. I've never owned an Xbox, as I've always been a PlayStation fanboy. But this time I thought I'd make a change and try the Xbox. But I do have a PlayStation 4 Pro for comparison footage, which is sort of down and set up at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll get both set up, I'll record some gaming footage on both and see if we can spot any differences. In addition, I'm just going to have a quick look around the menus, have a look at the initial look and feel. To someone who's never owned an Xbox before, I'm suspecting this will be totally different to anything I'm kind of used to. So hopefully it'll teach me something, and my total noob experience of the user interface will give you something to laugh at as well. All right, so firstly, let's see how fast the PlayStation 4 Pro turns on. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and we're booted into the main screen. Now we'll measure the startup time of the Xbox Series S. I'll be pushing the button in 3, 2, 1, go. And it's basically up. So this is the fast startup mode of the Xbox, and I must admit, it impresses so far. Now the storage on the Xbox Series X is 364 gigabytes. Practically this is far less than what you'd see on something like the Xbox Series X. What Microsoft does say, however, is that games downloaded to the Xbox Series S using their kind of specialised download system that is able to identify the console you're on average games are about 30% smaller. So things aren't quite as bleak as they seem. Although you won't store as many games in comparison to the Xbox Series X because they're 30% smaller. You will actually be able to fit a reasonable amount of games on here. Now, interestingly, the game that I'll be testing the gameplay on, Dirt 5, is the same size download for both the PlayStation 4 Pro and for the Xbox Series S. So that suggests to me that the textures will be about the same detail. So we'll see. Now, something that becomes really obvious when you compare the two consoles is the loading times. So clearly, this game, Dirt 5, does benefit substantially from having the solid state drive in the Xbox Series S. Loading times were inconsequential on the Series S. It felt like I was instantly in the game, whereas on the PS4 Pro it was far slower. This felt about average for PlayStation 4 Pro, to be honest, and the jump to the Xbox was just incredible, to be honest. This recording on both consoles is done in optimised quality mode. For the Xbox Series S, what it's actually trying to target here is 60 frames per second at a dynamic 1440p, meaning it's going to try to get to 1440p, but it might not quite make it. The PS4 Pro should be aiming for 30 frames per second, and this is actually fairly obvious when you watch the video. There's some frame drop compared to the Xbox Series S, whilst the Xbox Series S actually seems to maintain a slightly higher level of quality. I guess you're going to want some closing remarks, so I'll just give you a few. I think we've proven that this device is very capable, especially for the price. £250 for a next-gen console release is pretty stunning, to be honest, even if it isn't aimed at the top end of 4K gaming. I think most consumers, certainly at this point, don't need that kind of level anyway. I think 1440p is going to be enough. We've seen that game footage is outstanding. We've heard that the device itself isn't loud. It'll fit below most TVs inside some sort of cabinet. It's not large, it's not going to take up loads of space. In fact, the benefit of this over the Series X is it is designed to be sat flat rather than upright. So for those of you who prefer that aesthetic, then absolutely, that's fantastic. Should you buy one? Yes, you should. If you've got any thoughts on the Xbox Series S, you've got one. Maybe you've got a comparison of this to the Series X or a previous gen console. Let me know in the comments below. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. There'll be a lot of similar content coming up. There might be some gameplay. I do like my games, but mostly it'll be just tech stuff, budget builds, that sort of thing. As always, look after yourselves, stay safe during the pandemic, and I'll see you next time. Take care.